Hey guys, it's mintylemon here, and today we're going to be drawing fairies. So whenever I think of spring, I think of fairies, and since it's springtime, I decided to draw some fairies. Let's get started! So let me talk about my basic idea for this piece. I wanted to have something related to fairies, and I wanted to have like a fairy cottage in the middle with fairies around it. I also wanted to include like a tree on the side or something, because whenever I think of fairies, I think of trees, because in Tinkerbell, they have like the tree that creates the magical fairy dust thing. So here I'm drawing the cottage, the fairy cottage, and it's very natural, made out of natural things. It's like the actual cottage is wooden, then the roof's like a bunch of leaves. It has like different stems and stuff coming out of it. It has mushrooms, and it's like rocks and pebbles as like the stairs. So it is made out of very natural products. Like yeah, you could find in like a forest or something. And that's just a little bit about the cottage. So here I'm drawing the tree. The tree doesn't look that magical, but I don't, because it's just in the forest, but it could have some magical meaning behind it. And the tree looked very wobbly and like very curvy, so I decided to kind of change that up and make it more straight and proper. And so that's the tree. So here I'm drawing a couple mushrooms on the side, and since this fairy cottage is outdoors, I am also including a little pond to cover up some of the more space on the grass. So now we're drawing the fairies, finally. So for my technique for drawing these fairies was to draw a bunch of like circles, like 4 circles, and to kind of make them pointier and make them more like wings. And then I drew the body on top of them, and I added detail to the faces and made the dresses and stuff. For the dresses, I made them more like made them look like they're made out of natural things that you could find outdoors, like leaves or like branches and stuff like that. And I didn't really spend too much time on detail for the fairies, since this was a really big piece and there's a lot of other things incorporated in this, even though the fairies are kind of like the main part. So, and all the fairies are really diverse, as in they don't look all the same. I'm trying to make them have different hairstyles and make their clothes look different, their poses different and stuff. So that's the first fairy. The other 2 fairies that I'm drawing now are holding baskets, like they're teleporting baskets or something. Then this fairy is kind of helping like plants, taking like care of plants and such, and this fairy is just floating. Here's the finished line art. So now I'm coloring the tree, since there's only one, and I'm using 3 browns: terracotta, raw umber, and potato brown. I'm first coloring the entire tree using potato brown as a base, then I'm using terracotta and going over the tree, making some darker lines and just making it a little bit more tree-like and like wood-like. And then and I'm like blending this and shading this a little bit more. I did add a lot more blending to this piece than I normally do, and I think this looks really nice. Then I'm using raw umber and making more of these dark lines and doing a little bit more blending. I blend the raw umber out since it was a little too dark, and I add in a couple other colors just to make it a little bit realistic. Then for the trees, I use a variety of greens. I use emerald green, bud green, vivid green, and I think grass green. I go from the darkest greens in the middle, then I use the second darkest green, Then I go in the order of like darkest to lightest, and I just color the tree. And I don't really blend it out too much for the tree actual leaves, but I think it looks really nice in the end. I feel like the last color that I'm using right now didn't really fit in with the other colors, but I think it still does look nice. So now I'm doing the lake or pond or whatever. I'm using pastel blue, I think. Then I use royal blue and cerulean blue, I think. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I color the entire thing with the pastel blue. Then I use that cerulean blue thing around the edges. Then I use the darker blue, which is royal blue. Again, a little bit less. Then I blend the blues out, the darker blues out with using the pastel blue. And then I add in a couple more bits of the darker blues. And then like I'm doing here, and I just keep doing that until I think the pond looks perfect. So here I'm coloring the house. I used the color terracotta to color the house, and I used raw umber for the windowsill, for the windows and the door and the little branches sticking out. For the leaf roof, I used emerald green and a bunch of other variety of greens, which I used for the tree. I color them in a pattern, like it was light, dark, the light, dark, light, dark, and I did try to blend them out with the emerald green to create like a little shadow effect. For the mushrooms, I used the same color that I used for the actual mushrooms, which I think was dark yellow. And that's it for the house. So now we're coloring the mushrooms. I'm using dark yellow to color the mushrooms as the base, and then I'm using potato brown to blend out the top to make it darker. Here I'm using salmon pink and dark yellow to create the rocks, and then I use dark raw umber to color in the soil. So here I'm coloring in the flower with vermilion, and I'm coloring in the rocks near on the lake pond with cool gray 7 and cool gray 4. And here I'm coloring in the fairies. The wings of all the fairies is cool gray 0, and the skin tone for the fairies is rose beige. It's rose beige. And then the dresses and the hair I just colored randomly. I'm not really sure what colors I used for those. That's it for today's video. Hope you had a fun time watching. Bye!